Hey, my friends, how you doing? So, welcome to this next series. What I'm going to be doing is a lot of you are asking for ways to find effective ways to give good feedback to your students. You're trying to figure out how do I do this where I'm not just giving a point value, which doesn't really mean a whole lot in terms of helping our kids with the learning. You're trying to replicate all the feedback that you give normally in a face-to-face, and I think so many of us are realizing how much feedback we actually give on a daily basis. I know that you know that, but I think now that we can't be face-to-face, it really magnifies how much real-time feedback we give our students all the time. Now, we can't replace that perfectly in this remote teaching and learning. I don't care what anybody says. But we can take a look at some ways in order to look at how we can give voice feedback where kids can hear the tone of our voice. We can give thorough explanations. We can give the ideas back to the kids in a way that can be meaningful to them. So I'm going to say up front, this is not necessarily going to save you hours of time. Anytime we give feedback, there's a time commitment. So I don't want you to think that I'm promoting this thinking that it's going to shave off hours or days of work. What I'm going to be doing in this series is sharing you several different methods to give voice feedback back to your students. And then you need to explore, play around, find the method that works best for you, and use it. One is not better than the other. So I just want to make that very clear up front. So this first one that we're going to be doing requires no extensions, no add-ons, no extra bells and whistles. We're simply going to be using the Google Drive that you're already using with your students and just using some software that's already built in to your PC or your Mac. So let's take a look at how we go about doing this first version. So I'm here, I'm in my classroom. You know this, you got your classroom folder, and we are here looking at assignments. So I have created just a sample assignment folder. And in here, we know that in a Google Classroom, when we create a assignment where it forces a copy of a document or a slide, or kids can attach work, we can get access to that assignment in here. And what I've done is I've added, this would be where all of the assignments would show up, right? We know that we would say Aaron Maurer, rough draft, Susie Q's rough draft. All these would be within this folder. I don't have that because it's just a sample assignment, but I created a folder here called Voice Memo. Now, ideally, if this was beginning of the year and I'm teaching, I would create my own Google Drive network where I would actually have, not in the Google Classroom folder, I would have a separate place where I would have a folder collection with all my students' names where I could add information and share them with that. And in those folders, say I had an Aaron Maurer student folder, I would have a voice memo folder embedded within there where I would use this system over and over again. We don't have that. This was a quick turnaround, so we're going to use Classroom instead. So I've just created a folder called Voice Memo. This is where I'm going to drop in all my voice memos of the feedback I'm giving students. So let's pretend that this is their assignment. They've submitted this piece. This was something that I was working on for a class I'm part of, and we're reading through it, and I want to give feedback. And to type all the feedback is 1, takes forever, 2, kids probably aren't going to read it, and 3, both ends end up frustrated. So as I'm reading this, I might want to maybe highlight something in this part here. So I'm just going to use the Google comment feature of a Google Doc. You could do this in slides and sheets and everything else as well, depending on what they're submitting. I would just add this comment, all right? And you can make this your own method. You could call it just comment 1, or I could say talking point 1 or ideal 1, or I might make a small little note of what I want to reference as we go through. And I would add that in there. And then let's say maybe there's something down here. I want to do, talking point 2. Whatever it is that you want to phrase. For me, these are just idea placeholders for me when I go to give the voice feedback, as well as for the kids to know where to follow along on the journey. So we go through and we mark where we want to have our speaking points. We've got that here on the document. Okay. Now, if I'm working on a Mac, the Mac has a software in there called Voice Memo. If you are on a PC, it is called Voice Recorder. So you would just queue that up. And so this doesn't require any extra extensions or add-ons like I talked about. We'll get to those here in future videos. So I'm right here within the Voice Memo. And what I can do then is, once I get this loaded up here, okay, so what I will do then is, once I have the voice memo queued up, when I go to my Finder, pull up that application, on Windows it's going to be voice recorder. It's going to pop up. And I don't know if this will work right now because I'm recording already, but I would hit this red button and it would start. It would automatically start recording, and then this is where I would say my comments, and I would refer to the Google Doc, and I would go through then those options there as you see, just like I talked about. And I would say, hey, Aaron, I'm looking here on this sentence here. You might want to take a look at the sentence structure, capitalization, on talking point 1. And then when I was reading on and I got to talking point 2, I really like this idea here. I'm wondering if you can flesh that out a little bit more. So I would go through and I would explain my verbal reasoning for the talking points or the comments that I have marked on their paper. And when I'm done, okay, I would hit the stop button. I would hit done. That's down here, and it's going to show me the file. Now I couldn't do that because I'm doing this live stream. But what I would do is, I could drag this file over to my desktop. It's probably the easiest way to do this. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this file. Who knows what I was saying back then? All right, I'm going to give it the name of the student file name right there, and then I'm going to go back here to my drive, and I'm going to add this into this voice memo folder. I should have it in here. Let's go ahead and try that again. There we go. It's going to load up here. And now what I can do is I can take this file. I'm going to right click here. All right, and I'm going to get a shareable link. And I'm going to go into this document now. And just whatever your system is, I could make a little comment, or I could just highlight the very beginning. All right, now I'm going to make this a comment. And I could type in voice feedback, and then I'm going to paste in that link. Now, what's important, okay, here is to add their name. So we want to assign it to them as we do this. This way they get a notification that there's work to be done. So then I would assign it to that student just like so, okay. It's me. In this case, I'm going to assign it to me. I'm going to hit assign. They're then going to get an email notification that a task was assigned to them on their work. And then they go in, they're going to see these talking points. All right. They could go to this drive, and then it's going to play that audio file, and they can listen to the file while they're going through the work. And so this is just a very simple way. My internet here is a little slow. Okay, so while they're doing that,
hey everybody,
I could be watching my document, listening to the feedback, making those changes, and then depending on what I need to do, if I need to resubmit or whatever, it might be whatever your task is. So that's just one easy way. It doesn't require any extra stuff on your computer. It's the voice memo on a Mac, voice recorder on a PC, opening up your documents, adding your talking point, highlight comments, and then inserting that into your drive, whatever your situation is. You have your own setup, so place it where you need it, and then you're just going to get a copy of that link, and you're going to paste it in there on that document so they can go right to it and listen. So there is one way that you can use your voice to give feedback that I think would be very effective for you and your students. Like I said, it's going to take time. Nothing super easy about it, but it's effective, and that's where we are. If we want to get the learning to that next level, we want to be able to try to replicate our conversation as much as we can in the classroom. I know it's not real time. I know they can't just always, conversate back and forth, but it's one way to do that. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me know your thoughts, tips, tricks. If you use this way, let me know. And in the next video, we'll take a look at some extensions and add-ons that allow us to do some of these very same things. All right, my friends, as always, stay awesome. Peace.